Hollywood's best-kept secret isn't who's sleeping with whom. It's the fact that your favorite leading men have been going under the knife for decades, transforming their faces with surgical precision, while women get crucified for a simple lip filler. Ready to have your mind blown by the most shocking male celebrity transformations that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about natural masculine beauty? Number 20. Clark Gable. The man they called the King of Hollywood had ears that stuck out like car doors and teeth that looked like a broken picket fence. MGM executives took one look at Clark Gable in 1932 and said, "We're fixing this mess." They strapped him down without anesthesia and literally sutured his ears to his skull while he was wide awake. Then they yanked out every single tooth in his mouth and gave him a complete set of dentures. The transformation was so dramatic that Gable went from looking like a farmhand to becoming the most desired man in America. Studio bosses were so paranoid about the secret getting out that they wrote contracts forbidding stars from ever mentioning cosmetic surgery. Dr. Anthony Griffin calls Gable's makeover the blueprint for masculine enhancement that every male star copied for the next 50 years. The craziest part? Gable was terrified of dentists his whole life after that brutal procedure, but he never regretted it because it made him a millionaire. Number 19. Cary Grant. Before Cary Grant became the epitome of sophisticated charm, he was Archibald Leach with crooked teeth and droopy eyelids that made him look perpetually exhausted. Paramount Studios dropped serious cash in 1932 to completely reconstruct his smile, giving him those perfect pearly whites that made women swoon worldwide. But the real shocker came in 1957 when Grant was pushing 50 and still playing romantic leads opposite actresses young enough to be his daughters. Alfred Hitchcock noticed something different about Grant's appearance between their films and started dropping hints about refreshed looks. Grant had gotten an upper eyelid lift that was so expertly done, audiences thought he had discovered the fountain of youth. His close friend Katharine Hepburn compared his cosmetic maintenance to tuning up a Rolls Royce. The procedure was so successful that Grant continued landing leading man roles well into his 60s, proving that a little nip and tuck could extend a career by decades. Number 18. Dean Martin. Dean Martin was born Dino Crocetti with a nose so prominent it could have its own zip code. When his comedy partnership with Jerry Lewis started taking off in 1953, Martin quietly slipped away for a rhinoplasty that completely transformed his profile without anyone noticing. The surgery was so subtle and perfectly executed that Martin's makeup artist didn't spill the beans until 1996, decades after the procedure. Martin never acknowledged the work publicly, maintaining his image as the effortlessly cool guy who rolled out of bed looking perfect. But by the late 1960s, as he entered his 50s, Martin went back for more extensive work, including a lower facelift and eye surgery. Fellow Rat Pack member Sammy Davis Jr. used to joke about Martin's tune-ups during their performances, turning it into an open secret among Hollywood insiders. The transformation helped Martin transition seamlessly from comedy to serious acting, proving that strategic surgical enhancement could unlock entirely new career opportunities. Number 17. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas shocked Hollywood in 1988 when he became the first major male star to openly admit he'd had plastic surgery, declaring everyone does it. "I'm just more honest about it than most." Douglas started his cosmetic journey at age 60 with a subtle facelift that preserved his legendary chin dimple while tightening everything else. What made Douglas unique was his willingness to discuss his multiple procedures over the years, including brow lifts and eyelid surgeries that kept him looking camera-ready well into his 80s. His son Michael Douglas later revealed that Kirk treated cosmetic surgery like any other professional tool, comparing it to an athlete maintaining their body. The results weren't always perfect, though. Dr. Stephen Teitelbaum noted that Douglas's later surgeries became increasingly obvious, giving him a slightly windswept appearance that became part of his distinctive look. Douglas's openness helped break down the stigma around male cosmetic enhancement, paving the way for other stars to be more honest about their procedures. Number 16. Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster approached his face the same way he approached his legendary athleticism, with military precision and zero tolerance for imperfection. When studio executives complained about his slightly protruding ears in 1947, Lancaster immediately booked ear-pinning surgery without hesitation. His acrobatic background gave him a unique perspective on cosmetic enhancement, viewing his body and face as instruments that required constant maintenance. Lancaster's smile transformation in the early 1950s involved porcelain veneers that turned his small, discolored teeth into the dazzling grin that became his trademark. In 1967, he underwent one of the first endoscopic brow lifts in Hollywood history, a cutting-edge procedure that addressed his drooping eyebrows without visible scarring. Lancaster even experimented with thread lifts in the mid-1970s, always staying ahead of the latest surgical innovations. His philosophy was brutally honest. This business is about illusion, and I'm going to use every tool available to maintain mine. Dr. Alan Matarazzo considers Lancaster's work the gold standard for male cosmetic enhancement, noting how each procedure enhanced his natural features without creating an artificial appearance. Number 15. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum's approach to cosmetic surgery was as calculated and mysterious as his film noir characters. When he arrived in Hollywood in the 1940s, studio executives wanted to fix his rough features, particularly his prominent nose that they felt was too harsh for leading man status. After initially resisting, Mitchum agreed to a subtle rhinoplasty in 1947 that refined his nose while preserving its distinctive character. What made Mitchum brilliant was his strategic decision to keep his flaws that made him unique. When doctors suggested fixing his heavy-lidded eyes in the 1950s, Mitchum famously told them to go to hell, recognizing that those sleepy eyes were his trademark. Instead, he focused on maintaining his strong jawline with minor procedures between 1968 and 1975, carefully avoiding any worked-on appearance. His personal physician, Dr. Ronald Curran, described Mitchum's approach as maintenance surgery, designed to preserve his rugged appeal rather than fight aging. Mitchum's subtle enhancements only became widely known after his death, proving that the most successful cosmetic work is the kind nobody notices. Number 14. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds' transformation from rugged sex symbol to overly sculpted caricature became a cautionary tale about the dangers of cosmetic surgery addiction. It all started innocently enough in the mid-1970s when Reynolds needed corrective jaw surgery after breaking his jaw during a stunt on Deliverance. That medical necessity opened the floodgates to a series of increasingly dramatic procedures. By 1978, Reynolds had undergone one of the early, notoriously painful hair transplant procedures that left visible scarring he spent years trying to hide. The 1980s brought multiple facelifts in 1984 and 1988, followed by more work in the 1990s that dramatically altered his appearance. Unlike most stars, Reynolds openly joked about his surgeries on The Tonight Show, making self-deprecating comments that endeared him to audiences. However, by his 2015 memoir, Reynolds expressed deep regret about his cosmetic journey, admitting that most of the work was unnecessary and driven by insecurity rather than professional necessity. Dr. Anthony Yun used Reynolds as an example of how repeatedly chasing a specific look can lead to increasingly unnatural results, emphasizing the importance of knowing when to stop. Number 13. Robert Redford. Robert Redford mastered the art of aging gracefully through what experts call maintenance cosmetic surgery. Tiny adjustments over decades that preserved his all-American good looks without obvious intervention. His diplomatic response to questions about procedures revealed his strategy. I think a person has a right to do whatever they want to do. I don't have any issues with it one way or the other. This careful non-denial masked a sophisticated approach that began in the mid-1980s, with lower eyelid work to address bagging that threatened his trademark intense gaze. Makeup artist Leonard Engelman hinted at Redford's early interventions, noting how the star understood his face better than most cinematographers. By the early 1990s, as Redford transitioned into directing, he appears to have undergone conservative lower facelifts that maintained his natural expressions while tightening his jawline. Dr. Patricia Wexler praised Redford's incremental approach, noting how small adjustments every few years created a more natural progression than the dramatic overhauls other celebrities attempted. As Redford entered his 70s and 80s, he allowed some natural aging to show through, creating what film critic Richard Roper called a wonderful authenticity that balanced enhancement with genuine maturity. Number 12. Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone's cosmetic journey reads like a medical textbook on modern male enhancement, combining necessity with vanity in ways that redefined action hero expectations. Born with partial facial paralysis and further damage in a 1975 accident during Death Race 2000, Stallone's early procedures were medically necessary. But by the 1980s, as Rocky and Rambo made him a global superstar, Stallone's approach became more aggressive. The transformation between Rocky III in 1982 and Rocky IV in 1985 shows dramatic refinement of his naturally strong features, including jawline reduction and hairline adjustment. Stallone's refreshing candor about his procedures broke new ground for male celebrities. His famous 1992 Vanity Fair quote, comparing himself to a car that needed a tune-up, showed a matter-of-fact approach to cosmetic enhancement that was revolutionary for its time. By 2008, when promoting his comeback films, Stallone was even more direct. At my age doing action movies, you need to look good. These are the tools of the trade. Dr. Cheryl Aston noted how Stallone represents the transition from concealment to acknowledgement in male cosmetic surgery, helping normalize procedures that previous generations of stars would never admit to having. Number 11, Al Pacino. Al Pacino's cosmetic transformation reveals how great actors use surgical enhancement to preserve the physical tools that enable their distinctive performance style. During his early career through Scarface in 1983 and Sea of Love in 1989, Pacino aged naturally on screen. But by the early 1990s, subtle changes appeared, particularly around his hairline, which had shown significant recession, but appeared mysteriously fuller in Scent of a Woman in 1992. Hair restoration specialist Dr. Robert Bernstein identified this as early hair transplantation, using punch graft techniques that were effective for camera work but looked somewhat artificial up close. More significant changes became visible around 2000 as Pacino entered his 60s. Comparison between The Insider in 1999 and Insomnia in 2002 reveals subtle tightening around his lower face and neck, consistent with conservative facelift techniques. Longtime makeup artist Maurice Stein hinted at Pacino's strategic approach, noting how any work was designed to maintain rather than erase his distinctive characteristics. By 2010, Pacino's appearance suggested comprehensive maintenance, including possible eyelid surgery and continued hair restoration work, creating what film critic Peter Travers called a carefully preserved version that seems to exist somewhat outside normal time. Number 10. John Travolta. John Travolta's cosmetic saga is a masterclass in image reinvention, from his early hair transplant disasters to his current flexible approach to appearance management. The crisis began after Saturday Night Fever in 1977, when studio executives panicked about his rapidly receding hairline at age 25. According to former hairstylist David Fry, Travolta underwent one of the early punch graft hair transplant procedures around 1980, coinciding with a career slump that lasted through the 1980s. His spectacular Pulp Fiction comeback in 1994 showed a different strategy as Travolta embraced his hair loss and fuller figure to create the mature Vincent Vega look that re-established him as a versatile actor. The most visible transformation phase began in the early 2000s, with dramatic changes between Swordfish in 2001 and Hairspray in 2007, showing not just a fuller hairline, but also more defined facial contours consistent with facelift procedures. By 2010, Travolta's look relied on a combination of advanced hair systems, cosmetic tattooing, and surgical enhancement that allowed for dramatic transformations between his natural paparazzi appearance and polished professional looks. Dr. Paul Nassif noted how Travolta's case demonstrates the full range of male cosmetic options, from surgical intervention to non-surgical alternatives, representing a more flexible approach to image management in the social media age. Number 9. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise's enduring youthful appearance has sparked decades of speculation about cosmetic interventions, despite his consistent denials that seem increasingly impossible to believe. His transformation began early in his career with dramatic dental work that changed his misaligned, discolored teeth into the perfect smile visible in Top Gun in 1986, likely achieved through porcelain veneers. Subtle changes to his nose between early and later films suggest conservative rhinoplasty that narrowed his profile while preserving masculine features. As Cruise entered his 40s, his remarkably preserved appearance led dermatologist Dr. Patricia Wexler to speculate about non-invasive treatments such as Botox and dermal fillers that maintain facial volume without visible scarring. By the 2010s, his face appeared fuller, possibly due to fillers or fat transfer procedures that created a more youthful appearance. The contrast between public perception of obvious enhancement and Cruise's private denial highlights Hollywood's double standard, where male stars avoid acknowledging cosmetic work that would be openly discussed if performed on female celebrities. Cruise's ability to maintain his boyish charm while clearly evolving his appearance showcases expert image management that prioritizes career longevity over transparency. Number 8. John Wayne. America's ultimate symbol of rugged masculinity secretly relied on cosmetic enhancement to maintain his iconic persona, proving that even the toughest cowboys needed a little help from Hollywood magic. Wayne's cosmetic journey began in 1948 during his rise to Western stardom when a receding hairline threatened his leading man status. He underwent one of Hollywood's first hair transplants using primitive techniques that restored his hairline with a natural yet fuller look that became part of his signature appearance. As Wayne aged, maintaining his trademark squint and facial structure became crucial to his brand. Deep creases around his eyes were affecting his vision by the 1960s, prompting a subtle eyelid procedure in 1964 that preserved his iconic gaze while addressing functional concerns. His makeup artist Dick Smith later revealed that Wayne's brand relied on specific rugged masculinity that required increasingly sophisticated maintenance techniques. In the late 1960s, Wayne underwent more extensive work including lower facelift and neck lift procedures that maintained his weathered appearance while addressing age-related sagging. The strategic enhancement allowed him to continue playing action roles well into his 60s, helping redefine aging expectations for male stars while maintaining the authentic masculine image that made him an American icon. Number 7. Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers became the poster child for male cosmetic surgery honesty when he openly discussed his transformation journey, showing both the benefits and risks of extensive procedures. His cosmetic work began in the early 1990s with eye surgery to address hooding that was affecting his appearance as he entered his 50s. Unlike most celebrities, Rogers was refreshingly candid about his surgeries, admitting in a 2006 interview, "I did have a lot of plastic surgery. I had my eyes done and a facelift, which turned out great. However, additional procedures in the late 2000s gave him an overly tight appearance that he later regretted, leading to his famous 2012 confession, 'It makes me look like I'm startled all the time.'" Rogers' transparency helped shift cultural attitudes around male cosmetic enhancement, demonstrating both successful outcomes and cautionary examples of going too far. In his memoir, Rogers reflected philosophically on his choices, advising others that cosmetic procedures don't always turn out as expected, but accepting the results and moving forward is the key to maintaining dignity and self-respect. Number 6. Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow's transformation represents one of the most visible examples of male cosmetic enhancement in entertainment, with the singer occasionally acknowledging procedures while maintaining strategic vagueness about the full extent of his work. Manilow's cosmetic journey appears to have started in the mid-1880s around his 40th birthday, with subtle refinements to his nose and jawline that enhanced his profile while preserving his distinctive features. By the 1990s, his appearance showed more noticeable changes, possibly including brow lifts and facelifts that coincided with male cosmetic surgery gaining mainstream popularity. His transformation continued into the 2000s and 2010s, becoming a frequent topic of media attention as the cumulative effects of multiple surgeries, including facelifts and eyelid work, created a significantly altered appearance. Though Manilow has jokingly acknowledged some procedures in interviews, he has remained selective about discussing details, maintaining privacy about the full scope of his cosmetic work. As a performer primarily focused on his music rather than visual media, Manilow felt less pressure to maintain a specific appearance compared to traditional film stars, allowing his transformation to reflect broader cultural shifts toward openness about male cosmetic enhancement. Number 5. Bruce Jenner. Before transitioning to Caitlyn, Bruce Jenner's openness about cosmetic procedures was groundbreaking for male public figures, particularly within the context of reality television scrutiny. Jenner's cosmetic journey began in the 1980s with a partial facelift around 1984 to address early signs of aging while maintaining his athletic image. The mid-1990s brought a poorly executed nose job that Jenner candidly discussed in a 2009 Keeping Up with the Kardashians episode, creating one of the first instances of a male celebrity acknowledging surgical mistakes on television. Jenner's willingness to openly discuss his surgeries challenged traditional masculine norms around vanity and appearance, especially for someone with his sports hero background. The 2009 corrective rhinoplasty performed on camera further normalized male cosmetic surgery by showing the process rather than just the results. By 2014, before coming out as transgender, Jenner had undergone additional procedures, including a tracheal shave, that led to public speculation about gender identity, though these pre-transition procedures were focused on improving his appearance as Bruce rather than facilitating gender transition. Jenner's unprecedented transparency about male cosmetic enhancement paved the way for other male celebrities to discuss their procedures more openly. Number 4. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke's dramatic transformation from 1980s heartthrob to his drastically altered current appearance represents one of Hollywood's most devastating examples of how trauma and reconstructive surgery can compound over time. Initially celebrated for his striking good looks and bad boy charm in films like Diner in 1982 and 9.5 Weeks in 1986, Rourke's decision to pursue professional boxing in the early 1990s proved catastrophic for his appearance. Between 1991 and 1994, he suffered multiple severe injuries, including broken noses and fractured cheekbones, that required extensive reconstructive surgeries just to restore basic function. These medically necessary procedures marked the beginning of a transformation that would define the rest of his career. In the late 1990s, Rourke sought additional cosmetic work, including facelifts, to address aging accelerated by boxing trauma. But he later admitted going to incompetent surgeons who made his situation worse. By the 2000s, particularly visible in Sin City in 2005 and The Wrestler in 2008, his altered appearance had become inseparable from his public persona and artistic identity. Rourke's ongoing candor about his surgical journey is rare in Hollywood, with the actor embracing his transformation as a reflection of his life's battles, famously stating, "My face tells a story, not always a pretty one, but it's honest." Number 3. Carrot Top. Scott Carrot Top. Thompson's transformation from wild-haired skinny comedian to muscular, surgically enhanced performer represents one of the most dramatic male celebrity makeovers in entertainment history. Initially recognized in the 1990s for his distinctive red curls and lean physique, Carrot Top's image began changing dramatically around 2000 as his body became increasingly muscular, sparking widespread speculation about intensive bodybuilding and possible pharmaceutical enhancement. By the mid-2000s, his facial features had also changed dramatically, with comparisons between Tonight Show appearances in 1996 and 2006, revealing significant alterations to his brow, eyes, and facial contour, suggesting multiple procedures including brow lifts, eyelid surgery, and cheek enhancements. When confronted about his obvious transformation, Carrot Top humorously deflected criticism by claiming he hadn't had surgery but merely suffered from bad makeup artists, maintaining his comedic persona while avoiding direct acknowledgement of extensive work. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Fleming analyzed the changes as likely involving several major procedures, yet noted how Carrot Top managed to maintain his essential, recognizable features despite dramatic alterations. His transformation challenges traditional notions of male celebrity appearance by completely defying standard masculine ideals, while building a successful Las Vegas career that capitalized on his unique, evolved image. Number 2. Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell's transformation from the naturally aging American Idol judge to his current extensively enhanced appearance represents one of the most publicized and candidly discussed male cosmetic journeys in modern entertainment. Initially embracing a more natural look that emphasized his indifference to celebrity vanity, Cowell's attitude shifted around 2008 when subtle signs of Botox treatments became visible to observers. His casual acknowledgement of these early procedures in a 2008 interview, where he remarked that "every guy I know has had it now," signaled a significant shift in how male celebrities discuss cosmetic enhancement. As Cowell entered his 50s, his interventions became increasingly noticeable and comprehensive, likely including eyelid surgery, face and neck lifts, that dramatically altered his appearance from his early television days. After a health scare in 2017, Cowell adopted a healthier lifestyle that coincided with more extensive cosmetic work, leading to his remarkably transformed appearance by 2019. His openness reached new levels when he discussed specific procedures like silhouette soft lifts, while advocating for natural skincare over excessive fillers and Botox treatments. By 2022, facing criticism for appearing overly enhanced, Cowell demonstrated unusual self-awareness by acknowledging he had gone too far, admitting he didn't recognize his earlier appearance, and encouraging others to learn from his experience. Number 1. Joe Biden. Joe Biden's cosmetic journey represents the most successful example of how strategic enhancement can support a decades-long public career in America's most appearance-conscious profession. His transformation began with a practical crisis in his early 30s when significant hair loss threatened his young political image, leading to advanced hair restoration procedures that gave him a natural-looking hairline that became central to his public persona. Over subsequent decades, Biden underwent multiple hair transplants that evolved with technological improvements, as documented by hair restoration expert Dr. William Rassman, who noted the sophisticated progression of techniques used. Beyond hair restoration, Biden's smile transformation through extensive dental work converted an uneven, discolored smile into the bright, even grin that became his political trademark, with cosmetic dentist Dr. Michael Appa noting the comprehensive nature of the dental reconstruction. As Biden entered his 60s and 70s while maintaining active political ambitions, subtle facial procedures, including possible eyelid surgery, helped to preserve his energetic appearance during crucial campaign periods. Despite the obvious nature of his transformations, Biden's enhancements have generated minimal political criticism, likely due to their gradual implementation and natural-looking results that projected vitality without appearing artificial. Political consultant James Carville observed that modern electorates accept appearance maintenance in public figures as long as it doesn't detract from perceived authenticity and substance, making Biden's approach a model for successful political image management. The biggest shocker: these transformations prove that Hollywood's masculine ideals have always been just as manufactured as the female beauty standards we constantly debate. While actresses get torn apart for every tiny tweak, these leading men rebuilt their entire faces and became icons of natural masculinity. So here's the million-dollar question that'll keep you up tonight. If we can accept that our toughest action heroes and most trusted leaders needed surgical help to look the part, what does that say about our impossible standards for everyone else? Drop your thoughts below, because this double standard needs to be called out.